Oi! Fuck off, mate! Fuck off! Fuck off, mate! Fuck off! Oi! Fuck you, mate! And fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off!
Hey, fun fans, it's another episode of We Enjoy. What did you say?
Right as you were starting, your door opened very creepily for me, and then the cat started walking in.
Yeah, it's my
but for
kitty.
me, at first it just was like the cat, like the door. It just was like a creepy horror movie. Like I'm gonna watch Matt get killed on Zoom.
My cat
Hey.
likes to go where there is where voices are, where the she wants to be where the people are. So it's like Ariel.
Sure.
So she will
get
come in. I will have to probably close that door here in a second and let you speak. But that's actually very it's sort of foreshadowing for the movie we're going to talk about today, because there is sort of a video call with a little creepy Chucky going on in the background and a murder to boot. So we're going to be talking about the curse of Chucky in today's main event. Again, sorry. Hey, fun fans. It's another episode of We Enjoy. I think my intro got interrupted by Eric freaking out about my cat Phantom opening my door. We have the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman. I'm not being murdered. I'm being loved and cuddled by my cat.
Yes. Hi, everybody. And I don't have great internet this week. I switched rooms, and for some reason, what room doesn't get great internet keeps switching. So the one I was used to be bad internet, then suddenly became good internet one day, and now it's switched to this one, which used to be good internet. So I have to figure that out. But anyway, hi. How is everybody?
Are they going to answer you?
Yes.
Everybody? Yeah. So Eric is in a room with internet and reception, perfect for a horror movie. Which I know at any point it could say no signal. His voice might be a little tinny and or echoey and or sound like he's being swallowed up by Lawnmower Man type virtual reality this week. And we apologize ahead of time if that's the case. So we're gonna talk about Curse of Chucky in the main event, a movie I really enjoyed. Is it the lowest budgeted Chucky movie thus far at $2.8 million?
I'm guessing it is, because assuming Colt had a slightly higher budget, it certainly was when it was made. Because I just watched, I listened to the commentary when John Mancini talked about it. It was the lowest budget one. It's
look, it's not without its little flaws here and there, but for a low budget movie in the past decade, it's really good.
Oh, I dig it. It's great. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in the main event. We've got some entertainment news going on here. Eric refuses to talk about Masters of the Universe, something that was so formative in my childhood. Eric, I had Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, but most importantly, I had Eternia, which came with its own working fucking monorail. Had a monorail, Eric, that went around.
You see, this is how you trick me into talking about Master of the Universe. Just to say, I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before. I have a strange thing with Master of the Universe, which is I religiously watched the show, but I never got a single toy. And I don't know why that was. Maybe it's because I didn't like the style of the toy.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Those short, stocky, super buff, it just didn't appeal to me. But I watched the show. I liked the world. I just didn't buy the toys. So why didn't I get the toys? Tell me.
Because you were allowed to have G.I. Joe toys. Guess who was not allowed to have G.I. Joe toys? Me.
Yes,
so
yes.
I had a lot of Transformers and He-Man because that's what I could have.
I had G.I. Joe and Transformers. So there you go.
So there you go. We all have to pick and choose. We're all good. But what happened with my aforementioned play sets that were great, the Masters of the Universe toys and play sets by Mattel were incredible. And what happens, though, unless you were had the smarts and the know-how and the predictive ability to be a collector when you're 8 years old in the 80s, which I did not, when you needed that little extra scratch or walking around money, or like, hey mom, I want some money. It's like, I know, why don't we have a sidewalk sale and sell your toys,
right.
To get rid of some of the things you don't play with anymore. So somewhere out there, someone lucked out by walking away with like giving me probably $7 for Eternia or something like that.
Right. And now you could eBay it, but yeah.
Yeah,
Those
so
were great. Those play sets were very impressive. Again, the figures I don't know if I loved, although I love some of their action features. But those play sets, the great Castle Grayskull alone, but they all looked really cool.
I say sidewalk sale because I grew up in New York City. There's no yard sale or garage sale to be had. We actually had to go down on the sidewalk like buskers, Eric, like street performers in front of my building, lay out a blanket on the dirty pigeon poop soaked sidewalks, and basically sell off my childhood for pennies on the dollar. Okay,
watch it all go away.
So anyway, your reasoning for not talking about the new Masters of the Universe series coming to Netflix, which was sort of ushered in by Kevin Smith, is that you were like, basically all they did was release pictures. But last week, Eric, we basically spent a whole segment talking about a Saw Twitter account that only has tweets.
I guess I didn't feel what we would say about the images. They look cool.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. What do we say about the tweets? They were funny.
No, but we could talk about the funny tweets more.
We could talk about and how
I just don't know where we go with it
and all that stuff. But I mean, I did want to say we just call out the voice cast of basically Lena Headey, Mark Hamill,
incredible,
Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Alan Oppenheimer, who's the voice of the original Skeletor, is voicing Mossman. So it all looks really cool. I'm very excited, and that's July 23rd. Okay, done and done. So that wasn't technically part of the official news because Eric nixed it. So just business out of the way. We are on Twitter at the Matt Fowler and the Eric Goldman. The podcast is at We Enjoy Podcast. Please tell your friends, families, neighbors, and enemies all about us. Sort of bump us up those Apple podcast charts. Let's see. You can rate us,
please. Give us a review and rate us.
Yes, please Apple. Give us a 5-star Frog Splash rating over on Apple Podcasts. That would be excellent. And obviously, you don't have to listen to us there because we are, I think, pretty much everywhere that most people who listen to podcasts. I'm sure there are some more obscure niche sites that we're not on, but the big ones we should be on. Not many people are writing into the We Enjoy Podcast at gmail.com email account, but you can write us there. We get more messages over on the Patreon account. So we're on patreon.com/We Enjoy Podcast. And for $2 a month, you can get a completely commercial free version of this podcast. And so that's all the business out of the way. Let's dive into some news here, which is to say, in place, Eric, of the new Masters of the Universe series and the release of these really cool photos, guys, you should see them. They're so cool. You wanted to talk about Bring It On Halloween. Which
tangentially ties in. It tangentially ties into our main event, which in that Universal is one of the studios that still kind of most exploits their IP to make straight to video sequels, they have with Bring It On and Chucky. But this was an interesting thing for them to do, I thought, which is to take their Bring It On IP and make a sci-fi original movie called Bring It On Halloween that involves creepy stuff happening to cheerleaders. Held down by restrictive rules, an embattled cheerleading squad seeks the freedom of a creepy closed school gym to practice for regionals. But when members of the squad start to disappear, the cheerleaders must unmask their assailant to save themselves. I just think this is super fun. And, the Bring It On sequels, I don't think have ever had anything to do with the original. They're just different characters who are cheerleaders. But why not do Bring It On Halloween? I think this is a very entertaining thing to do. And yes, it also made me think of our main event because we'll talk about how this Child's Play series took a shift to straight to video, but how it made sense because Universal is into that still in this day and age.
Are they getting killed, Eric?
It sounds like there's
brutally murdered, or they're just vanishing and they're going to wind up tied up somewhere.
Disappear, so they could end up alive at the end.
So it's a surprise party.
Hey, it could be that. So this was Sci-Fi doing their upfronts are happening right now, which are all digital right now, of course. And so Sci-Fi did their full lineup for the next year, including reiterating Chucky and a Day of the Dead miniseries. But Bring It On Halloween was the one that surprised me the most.
All right. Well, that's clearly
I'm
more
into
important than Masters of the Universe from Kevin Smith.
It is well, good, because Masters of the Universe, we knew all the information. All
All
of
right,
that was out there.
speaking of a
Bring
movie,
It All Halloween it's new, it's hip, it's fresh.
it's here, it's now, it's on the edge. It's where
I'm what's happening. I've gone to see Scott Pilgrim twice in the theater in the past week and a half, and I just like when Gideon's like, "I'm what's hip, I'm what's happening."
I'm what's blowing up right now. And he's like, you are blowing up right now. Like I don't have that movie memorized too.
So good.
I love that movie. So moving over to
everyone, it's great.
To a movie where someone will definitely be brutally murdered. Knives Out 2 had a bunch of news this past week, just sort of one day after the next, just naming really cool people that are going to be a part of this project. We already knew that Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc was returning. Sort of, he's the connective tissue in this universe as the detective that will go from case to case, and he's going to come upon some new situation, and a location, a new family, maybe they're not related, a new murder mystery, and joining him will be Dave Bautista. So it'll be a spectacular reunion, right, Eric?
That's right. And Dave Bautista did a little comical tweet about the rematch.
The rematch. I was very, speaking of Spectre, at some point we will probably, who knows when and in what capacity and how we'll break it up, James Bond movies on this podcast. But very surprised that Dave Bautista's assassin character vanished very quickly from that movie.
Yeah.
He was sort of in two big action sequences, but then wasn't in the second half of that film. Edward Norton has also joined the project just to be difficult.
If I tweeted this, but in an alternate universe, he would have already worked with Dave Bautista on 2 Avengers movies on Infinity War and Endgame, if not for his difficult nature.
Yes, Janelle Monáe is part of it, and now most recently announced, coming off of WandaVision and what people have been calling the Renaissance, Catherine Hahn.
Yep. And I get it. I get why we're all joking. It was her. She'll be the killer. It probably won't be, guys. She probably will not be the killer. But yes, great cast. Everyone wants to be in the Knives Out business. And now there's did you see that? I hate that this happens, but there's those fake Twitter accounts that look like real ones. So there's one that looks like disgusting film. They use the same imagery, but if you look at the actual Twitter handle, it's not. It's just slightly different. But they had people were all retweeting it. I'm glad I double checked before I retweeted it, because it was Anya Taylor-Joy and 2 other. It was her and 2 other people that would get you excited to be in Knives Out too. But none of it was true. It was all internet bullshit. Because everyone's now everyone's fan casting everyone in this movie. Because it just seems like the first one was already this awesome mix of people, and now that it's a franchise and with a giant Netflix money behind it, I think we're just going to keep seeing cool people join up.
Speaking of something that is absolutely 100% true, Warner Brothers is clearly anti-Zack Snyder and anti-Snyderverse,
yes.
and have never given this director any chance to put his vision forward and reap the benefits of clearly the massive financial success that his movies would bring. They had been given a chance to see the light of day.
Massive budgets for over 15 years, including on his I want to do anything dream project Sucker Punch.
Oh god, that movie was such trashy trash. Oh my god.
Zack Snyder, man. Again, I don't hate Snyder. I've loved a couple things he's done. I did not love his DC vision for the DC universe at all. But although I did like Watchmen before he got into the main DC superheroes, I liked a lot of Watchmen, even if I didn't think the entire thing was a home run.
I liked 50-60% of Watchmen.
And I'm very excited to see Armory of the Dead, which I'm hearing enough positive stuff from people that I think I would agree with. I'm seeing it in the theater tomorrow night because they're doing that 1-week theatrical run before it goes to Netflix. So I'm very excited to see that because I love his Dawn of the Dead, but he makes it difficult. And him saying and doing press for Armory of the Dead that Warner Brothers is anti-Snyder. Those were his words. This is being
aggressively anti-Snyderverse.
yes, about doing more. I'm like, yeah, can't we all just move on? Like, again, I think he's a talented person, and I'm excited to see a new movie from him this week. But this is just something we can move on, and especially it's just the craziness of the Snyder Cut should be the victory. And yet it seems like the biggest hardcore fans who fought so hard for it are not in any way enjoying that victory. They just turned to like, now it's not just, wouldn't it be great if we got more? Because, I get it. Like because that's what I got some responses from. Oh, I just think it'd be nice if we got more. I'm like, I'm not talking about you when I complain about this. Clearly, we know who we're
it's
talking
the people
about.
who demand more, feel they deserve more, feel that, this is what the world needs. This is what the superhero world needs. And this is what the DC universe needs. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't happen, it's clearly because of conspiracy and not because this creative vision hasn't been financially fruitful for Warner Brothers in any form.
Right. And that's my main thing I keep coming back to is like, they will make more if they find it financially viable to make more, because that's how these studios work. And it's like, look, I get it. Yes, there was a lot of crazy fucked up studio interference shit that went on with the Justice League in the theatrical cut versus getting the Snyder Cut. But before that, he made 2 other DC movies where he pretty much had creative freedom. And I understand there's a longer version of Batman versus Superman, but he still got to release that immediately on Blu-ray. They were not in any way tying his hands on those movies any more than any director has to work with the studio. In fact, he was definitely one of their most, powerful directors for a long time.
Eric, by telling him Batman v Superman can only be 2.5 hours long, that is anti-Snyderverse.
Right, it's Snyder. But then it's just crazy because, again, getting the Snyder Cut was this huge victory for his fans and for him. And I'm like, hey, celebrate that. That's amazing. I didn't think it was going to happen. They would release it at least, like I've always said, like I thought it would happen 10 years from now, maybe. But it happened now. You got it. That's great. But it just seems like, man, it's just this stuff that keeps swirling around, and it feels like he's pushing buttons often because it's like he has to know, like he can only not play dumb, but he can only talk about like the nice things they've done for charity so many times where you're like, come on, like I know he addressed it a little bit, but it's like there has been a very negative side to this, and I get it. Not all Snyder fans, but me and Matt definitely see it because we see it directly, and we see it with a lot of people we're friends with on Twitter. And guess what? We see it more with the women when they just get piled on and attacked, and clearly the thing happens where if you say something negative about him or one of his movies, people look for that. They don't follow you, but that's where it gets crazy, because that doesn't happen with many other filmmakers. I can say like, I didn't like this movie, so I can say I didn't like a Spielberg movie. Oh, Spielberg's great, but his last movie was shitty, and I will not get a pile on of like rabid Spielberg people, even though he's one of the most acclaimed, wonderful directors ever. There's something about this, the pure concentrated Snyder fan base, a certain sect of it, and they're very loud on Twitter.
It's just one of those things where it's for a certain type of fan or a certain person who likes a very certain aesthetic. And, I saw somebody, I won't bring up her name, she's a peer of ours, but like responding to somebody where it's like, well, WB is going to alienate their fans who love this universe and so on. And she was like, this version of DC universe, and this is somebody who loves DC. She loves it. This version of DC alienates me.
Right.
Like I don't like this because it alienates me. So,
But again, my main thing is Warner Brothers ultimately is not going to not make more Zack Snyder DC movies to spite Zack Snyder or his fans. They won't make them because they don't think it's worth the money. They made the Snyder Cut because they did think it was worth the money. They think it could help HBO Max. Then they saw how it did, and by most accounts, it did okay. But like more people watched Godzilla versus Kong and Wonder Woman and Mortal Kombat than they did the Snyder Cut, and it didn't move the needle to any amazing degree. And so, again, if they ever change their mind, it'll be because they see that we can make money, and if they don't, it will because they don't, and that's how it works. For things we love and don't love.
Well, we talked about it on our Snyder Cut podcast that Without HBO Max, the Snyder Cut was not getting made. They needed a big, launch title, even though it came out.
It wasn't. They announced it though 2 weeks before they went live.
It still took like several months, but that was what they were going with. Way before they announced that their entire 2021 slate of giant movies were also going to be released on HBO Max.
Right.
So I don't know why you're aggressively anti-He-Man, Eric. So
I'm not aggressively anti-He-Man.
All right, last bit of news here.
He-Man are good. We're good.
Some interesting news on the Disney movie front, talking about Jungle Cruise starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Emily Blunt, and then Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, and also, Free Guy too, separately. But yeah, but so it was announced that like Black Widow and Cruella, Jungle Cruise will release in theaters and on Disney Plus Premium at the same time. Eric, at this point, with us learning, was it just today? Time's a swirl and a blend. And
so today was a Disney Investor Day.
No, but I'm saying, wasn't it today that the CDC said that vaccinated people can now be unmasked indoors? I'm just saying, as far as guidelines go.
Yeah.
We're talking about like summer releases that are still a few months away. Is this for people? Because honestly, here's the thing: Jungle Cruise being $30 at home saves families a shit ton of money. But is this to help families save money, or is it really for people who are still going to be averse to crowds going forward? Like that it's not theatrical only and waiting for Disney Plus, that it's the same time.
Yeah, it was interesting. It did surprise me because we knew they made these when they made that last big shift a couple months ago, which is when they delayed Black Widow a couple more months, and they announced that both Cruella and Widow would be Premier Access Disney Plus the same day, and then Luca, the Pixar movie, would just be Disney Plus. I noticed, that makes Jungle Cruise the first only theaters Disney movie. Like, that's the one they're going to be like, let's try to get back to normal with. So it's funny that then they decided, no, it wouldn't be. And who knows how they're making these decisions. Again, yes, anything coming out very soon is still going to have more of a struggle, especially when you're looking at movies that are, worldwide, trying to be like worldwide blockbusters. We have heard a lot about how Kevin Feige particularly wants theatrical only and acquiesced on Black Widow. But then they put out that whole Marvel thing we talked about, which was really pushing the theatrical experience. So it just feels like, because that 45-day window now that they announced for Shang-Chi and Free Guy, I'm like, that's where, we've talked, that's where it seems like we're going to land. That's the Paramount Plus thing that they're doing now. Mission Impossible, other big movies will be 45 days in the theater, then on Paramount Plus. That's what's going to happen with Warner Brothers next year. When the HBO Max deal is over, they're going to do 45-day theatrical. It cuts the old window of 90 days in half. It seems to be a good number that makes everyone happy, as in theaters can accept it. Studios are like, okay, we're getting stuff sooner. Why they decided Jungle Cruise would be Premier Access, I don't know, except they thought, well, it's the very end of July. And yeah, we're still a little nervous. We're a little sketchy about how many people can go to theaters still at that point. So let's stick that also on Premier Access. But I am curious how they made
hopefully also, driving subscriptions to Disney Plus.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, everyone is making this long play, for subscriptions and keeping people and all this stuff. So yeah, that's these guys do. It was just funny because even this week on SJU on Fandom, we talked about Jungle Cruise. We were talking about what movies might make $1 billion this year. Again, nothing made $1 billion last year, and nothing could this year. But I think we ended up agreeing that the most likely were Fast 9, maybe. But it's opening pretty soon. But it depends on the comfort level people have. But Spider-Man feels like the only thing we felt almost guaranteed. You can't guarantee for sure because it opens in December, and it's going to have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. They'll have a lot of things to hype around. No,
Tom Holland says that's all bullshit.
Yeah. Andrew Garfield says,
and Marvel actors definitely don't just bald-faced lie.
They don't lie. But we talked about Jungle Cruise as kind of a wild card because it's really hard to predict that Disney stuff. what could really take off and what can be $1 billion hit. And everyone likes to shit on all the remakes of their old animated movies. And then Dumbo doesn't do well, but Aladdin and Lion King make $1 billion in the same year. So Jungle Cruise could have gone either way. It could have been Jumanji and then some. Jumanji made like 900 million, I think. So who knows? But now I think it won't make $1 billion because it's going to be this Disney Plus Premier Access thing. But
oh my goodness,
my
goodness, Eric,
we'll see
what's happening. What's happening in the world?
Things happening, changes.
Why is the world so aggressively anti-Snyderverse?
Yes.
Why is COVID? Why does COVID hate Zack Snyder? So let's talk about some things people wrote in about very quickly. Sam on Patreon asked, when are you guys going to watch Shockma? It's shocking audiences everywhere. So we will do a Shockma episode at some point in the future.
We have to.
Not sure when. We do want to break up the horror maybe a little bit. Who knows? We just basically did 2 Sam Neill horror movies and then the entire Child's Play run. So
right.
I don't know. Maybe we can go back to doing like an 80s sitcom, very special episodes.
Yeah, and also we have to think about how we are going to do Spiral probably the week after the Child's Play remake. So maybe then we'll try to do a couple non-horrors. You know?
Oh, I got so Eric and I got some weird Spiral swag this weekend from Lionsgate, which involved like a little puzzle, and you scan the QR code and you get a combination to a briefcase, and you open it, and it's like just basically vodka and Bloody Mary mix, and I crunched up what would have been a cookie. But what was my point with all that?
I don't
know either.
Spiral, it's a movie.
Spiral is a movie. I used, but it came with a free ticket to Spiral, so I did. So I was very happy to use my to buy a ticket online with my free code for a free Spiral movie. It was very nice. That was my favorite part of that whole ordeal. And,
by the way, my video, even after charging it, that video never played. So
mine never played either. I had to actually go on Twitter and find other people who got that gift pack, other critics, and listen. And some of them actually posted all of their process of solving the puzzle online. So it was apparently only audio. So maybe we just had to turn up the volume.
Maybe.
Okay. And then Joey writes in on Patreon. 4 years ago, I bought the Chucky collection on Blu-ray. It has the first 6 films in it. I didn't realize that they have such continuity, and that was a nice surprise. It's awesome that Brad Dourif's daughter got to be a part of the franchise. The next year, I brought the Leprechaun movie collection, and I could barely make it through the first 2 movies. Don't do it, guys. Save it for 20 years from now on the podcast.
I did do it, and then I bought it.
I saw that you did, yeah.
Yeah, it was like $14 for the Leprechaun collection on Amazon. I thought, screw it. Again, this is not a promise for the podcast. We'll see when and what I'll watch. But people were really talking me up on the making ofs that have come on them, Matt. And I love my making of. So.
We can't. It would have to be so long from now because we can't do another horror franchise with a silly little person running around.
I don't know. Look, legally we could, but I don't think.
No, I'm saying thematically, like it's too much. Chris writes in. Actually, we did get an email this week. I lied like a Marvel, like an MCU actor.
Liar.
Just lied to your face. Who's Doctor Strange? What's a Captain Marvel? I'm trying to think about all the people who lied about Marvel.
Oh yeah. Aquaman. That's not Marvel, but Jason Momoa had lied for a long time, so I think of that one too.
Yeah. Kate Bishop. Let's see.
Never heard of her.
Chris writes, hey guys, longtime fan of the channel surfing days. 2 quick things. 1, I keep getting vaginal rejuvenation ads during your podcast. It makes me laugh every time. Alas, I'm currently not in the market for such a procedure, but I would recommend it for anyone who is. Hey, ads do work. 2, Eric's vocal intro in the beginning of each episode is a verbal representation of Bob's jogging into every scene on Schitt's Creek. Eric watched Schitt's Creek.
I don't get your reference, so I know Schitt's Creek is a show.
Thanks and keep up the great work, Chris from New York. Hey, I'm from New York too. I'm also walking here. That's how you blend in when you go there. Remember, that's what you had to do when you went there for middle school. You had to loudly proclaim that you were walking places when you were in the middle of walking places.
That was required.
All right. Good things to enjoy. I'll go first this week, and then you can follow up. Mine is very recent, just came out within the past few weeks, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm not going back to the 80s, 90s, or even a few years. This is smack dab new, and it's called The Mitchells versus the Machines, and it's from Sony Pictures Animation, and it's a executive produced by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and it's not directly made by them, but it feels like one of their joints. So if you love the Lego Movie or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, or even another great film, which was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, this is a really fun, colorful, beautiful animated film about a family that's embarking on a sort of strained, uneasy road trip in the midst of an AI robot holocaust. And that sounds dark, but it's not. It's sort of gleefully dark in the same way that, like, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs was also like if they were trying to save the world. It's a save the world movie, and who better to laugh in the face of an apocalypse than Lord and Miller, and directed by Mike Rianda, who isn't famous. This is his first sort of animated feature, but he was a writer for Gravity Falls, which is a very funny series that I also recommend. But that's not what I'm recommending this week. Mitchells vs. the Machines. It is a gorgeously animated film, and it's got Danny McBride and Maya Rudolph and Abby Jacobson, who you would know if you like Broad City. And it's got Olivia Colman, Marvel's own Olivia Colman, as the villain, and Eric Andre and Fred Armisen and Beck Bennett from SNL. Chrissy Teigen and John Lennon in a sort of silly neighborly roles. But yeah, I highly recommend this movie. And I don't know what else to say about it. It's so new and it's on Netflix, that you could just sort of catch it right now. I think it's pretty critically lauded. So,
oh yeah, I've seen nothing but praise for it. I keep meaning to watch it, but I haven't. Even though, again, me being me, I would have if it were in the theater. This was supposed to be theatrical. This was one of the many.
That's right. That's what I wanted to say about it. Yeah,
Sony sold it to Netflix, and it's funny because this weekend Netflix has the Amy Adams movie, The Woman in the Window, debuting, which is supposed to not be a good movie.
And I reviewed that for IGN as well. It actually just went up a few hours ago, and I said it was okay. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's an okay movie. Mm-hmm. But speaking of, it's also it briefly flashed into my mind when we were talking about Knives Out, which is like a fun setup, not unlike Kenneth Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express, where it's like you get a bunch of famous faces together for sort of a fun, pulpy murder mystery. This one's, Woman in the Window is based on a book, but it's only it's not an Agatha Christie classic. It's from 3 years ago. It's it's a good airport novel. You know what I mean? Like a good airport gift shop book. It's pulpy, but it's got famous people in it. Amy Adams and Gary Oldman and Julianne Moore, but it is not as good as a Knives Out. It is it's too hyper. It's too into aping Hitchcock and or paying homage to Hitchcock.
It's one of those movies also that's funny just because I saw the trailer several times when it was a theatrical release pre-pandemic.
Well, so yeah, it was not only was it delayed because of reshoots, but then it was supposed to be released last year, but the pandemic pushed it out of last year. But then Netflix finally scooped it up as a Netflix original. So, speaking about a Netflix original that is good, that was another one that was supposed to be released in theaters, is The Mitchells versus the Machines. And I did review this one for IGN as well. And one of the first things I mentioned is that this would have been great, if it had been one of the sort of HBO Max theaters streaming simultaneous releases, because with a theatrical option for this film would be amazing. But it's a Netflix original. So unless you're Zack Snyder and aggressively pro Zack Snyder like Netflix is, it is not going to the theaters for 1 week like Army of the Dead is. Because I would have loved to see this someday on a big screen, because it's that beautiful.
By the way, you're reminding me that I want to see. I definitely want to go see Raya and the Last Dragon in the theater, which is a beautiful movie. And I've seen several people I know, like Brian Lynch and Jordan Bloom, who talked about having seen it a million times at home with their kids, but then taking their kids to see it in the theater and how great it was. So I'm going to do that. And it's funny with why am I forgetting the first part of the Mitchells. Machine and the Mitchells?
The Mitchells and the Mitchells versus the Machine.
It's Sony, and again, Sony standing out in this day and age by not having a streaming service or a major streaming service, and so they just have been like selling their stuff, full out. And so there was no HBO Max or Disney Plus Premier Access option. It just was Netflix scooping it up, and we'll see with Army of the Dead if this sets a precedent for other major movies to get like a week theatrical run before theaters, but that wasn't going to be in the cards for this movie because it wasn't directed by Zack Snyder.
Laugh out loud moments for me in this movie. Also, there's a really silly looking animated pug that's actually voiced by a famous Instagram pug named Doug the Pug. If you follow that account on Instagram, I highly recommend this movie. What's your movie, Eric, or TV show or whatever?
No, it's a movie, and tying back into it features an actor we talked about earlier in the podcast in his new casting, but Hotel Artemis is my recommendation this week from 2018.
I did see that.
And it's funny because I don't want to like overhype it because I didn't think this was like an amazing movie, but I thought this was a cool movie. This was like a cool movie that I bet would be I think I saw it in the theater, but I think people would just like kind of dig like watching it at home. And it was interesting.
I saw it on an airplane and I still dug it.
I think that, I bet that would be a good experience. This movie is interesting because I thought about how it opened just a couple months before Bad Times at the El Royale, and kind of got overshadowed by it. But although in both cases, I think, you could, neither of them lived up to sort of like, wow, look at this cast of these kind of crime caper movies. This could be amazing, but it didn't kind of deliver in the way that, let's say, Knives Out, which I know wasn't quite a crime caper as much as a murder mystery. But I really liked Hotel Artemis. I liked it more than Bad Times at the El Royale, which I was somewhat disappointed by. But Hotel Artemis, if you don't recall, and if you didn't see the trailers, because it was a fairly small release, even though the cast is amazing, is Sterling K. Brown it's like the near future in LA. It's like 2028. So they do the thing of like very slight future tech, like, just around the corner future tech. But Sterling K. Brown is a criminal and he's hurt and he goes to this hotel, this like not really open hotel, but it is open for a certain clientele because it's where this nurse works, played by Jodie Foster. And this is kind of a similar idea in Marvel Comics for superheroes, but this is for criminals, which is she's a nurse for criminals. Like that's who she helps. That's her clientele. And she will let you into the Hotel Artemis if you kind of meet a certain criteria. And she will help you. And there's a ton of people in this movie that pop up, some for a couple scenes, some larger parts. Jeff Goldblum's in it, Charlie Day, Brian Tyree Henry, Jenny Slate, Zachary Quinto. But Dave Bautista has a large role. That's my tie back to Knives Out 2 casting, has Jodie Foster's right-hand man. And it's just a really cool pairing because it's Jodie Foster and her muscle is Bautista, but he's doing the like, thoughtful Bautista thing, kind of like Blade Runner 2049, character, because he's a really good actor, as it turns out. So he doesn't have to just play like the brute. He can play the thoughtful brute. And that's what he gets to do here, because you kind of get this like thing of him, like they clearly have like worked together for a while. And again, I don't think it's a home run movie, but it's a cool movie. Sophia Boutella has a pretty big role in it as well. I just really liked it. It's Drew Pearce wrote and directed it. I think it was his directorial debut, but he's written a ton of big movies. He co-wrote Iron Man 3. He co-wrote Hobbs and Shaw. He was did the story. He had a story by credit on Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. It was. I'm just checking. It was his directorial debut. One of those things where you see like a person who writes like giant budget movies, like does her directorial debut with something smaller scale, but still gets this pretty big cast for it. I just really enjoyed it. And I was thinking about it recently because Bautista, people have been mentioning what a successful career he's had and also what an impressive actor he's become. And I thought, man, more people should watch Hotel Artemis because it's got a good Bautista performance alongside a good Jodie Foster performance, not shockingly, and Sterling K. Brown and all these great actors. So that's my recommendation. And you can watch that movie currently on Prime, besides being able to.
I think I do follow you with, what was it? The full title is Bad Times at the El Royale?
At the El Royale, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I saw that too. And I think I know what you're saying, which is like, these are amazing casts. this trailer looks great. The concept sounds amazing.
Drew Goddard made it, who I love.
This is going to be fucking awesome. And then you see it and you're like, oh, that was really good. It just wasn't, because when you get those crime movies or those quirky, like low budget by today's standards movies with like an amazing eclectic ensemble cast that I always call Southland tailing, like where it's like the absolutely random. If you could just spin a dial and it would just land on actors and they have to be in your movie, that's Southland Tales. I think you and I specifically in our age, we're so used to like the trailers from the 90s of Tarantino movies where they would just list off all these amazing actors.
Yeah.
And then the movie would also be pretty amazing. Like it would live up to the hype. So now we're trained when we get a long cast roll call in a movie, in a trailer, where it's like just a bunch of really fun actors. Right. We're like, oh, this is going to be like what we used to see decades ago, where it's going to be infinitely quotable and have amazing fun action sequences and stuff like that. And then it's not quite that. It doesn't wind up being that, but it does still wind up being a rewarding watch.
Yeah, it entertains you. Bad Times at the Royale, I remember being one of those movies that I thought felt a little sluggish. Like there were some parts I loved, and there was like, this feels like this could have been trimmed down a little bit. But and I didn't hate it. But between the two, and I only compare them because they came out so close together, and they had that little bit of that similar vibe, like what Matt's saying about the quirky cast and like the sort of crime caper. Offbeat feel to it, but Hotel Hard Miss I thought was the more successful of the two of them, and you should check it out.
All right, next week we are watching for the main event Cult of Chucky, and as of this moment we don't know where to see that except to rent it. Yes,
it's the same as Curse, so it's
okay. Rent it or buy it or watch it on Sci-Fi.
Sci-Fi, yeah.
I will say this, Eric. I watched Cult of Chucky, which I had already seen. Again, like I previously mentioned that
those titles are so similar.
Curse, Cult. Yeah, I do have a bone to pick with that a little bit. Because I watched the entire series. And I watched Curse of Chucky for the first time like last November because I had to write a script for an IGN video about Chucky and the whole saga. This is to say, I have seen the original version of Curse of Chucky, but this time around for the rewatch for
you
this
mean
podcast,
the R-rated, because they were really simultaneously.
Yes. If you watch it on DirecTV, which is what I did, I watched whatever the pared down edited version was.
Okay.
Just so you know, I went and refreshed myself on the post-credit scene because it didn't come with this.
Oh, and we should say that Cult has a post-credit scene too. That I'm not sure if it's reserved.
So my version of Curse of Chucky, it didn't hurt the movie because which probably had pared down gore, but it definitely had dubbed over swear words.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really interesting.
Yeah, so I got a lot of freak in this and freak you or whatever. Let's see. But again, doesn't really hurt the movie. There's still, there was still plenty of gore in there. And there's a lot of intensity in this movie and ooginess anyway that it's just unsettling and disturbing and scary regardless. Mm-hmm. So you don't need all that. So Curse of Chucky, Eric, what an interesting lean back into horror. And I will argue it was even more horror than the original Child's Play movies. I feel like this is the most seriously horror Chucky movie so far.
I can see why you say that, especially because, and because every week I've been, not only have I been glancing back on some interviews and stuff with Mancini, but I've also been watching this video series interviews he did with William Babani when Curse came out. So it doesn't have anything. When Curse came out, he did like a, 15-minute interview for each one of the movies. And as they mentioned, the first movie has a lot of like police stuff. And so it's like, there's a lot, that's kind of a big element of it. And I see what you mean, that because he talked about how this movie, he wanted to kind of make like a gothic horror movie and kind of lean into that.
I understand like the want after Seed of Chucky to sort of return to the roots of the series, but I feel like it, in a good way, overcorrected it a little bit, which is that it went maybe because it was so low budget and confined to the one location, which it still did really well. It didn't feel like a small, low budget movie. It just made sense that it would all take place in this house. It all takes place in a day's time, really, for the most part. So that limits
90% of it in one location.
And having the main character being a quadriplegic, or not quadriplegic, what's the term? Is she just paralyzed? I don't know the terminology. I apologize, but paraplegic. You're right. Not quadriplegic. So, but just having her being, having limited mobility just gave the film a completely different dynamic where you didn't need to go to different locations because the giant house itself became enough.
Yeah, no, for sure. So a little backstory in this movie is, first of all, because again, it is funny that it's like another long break between movies. The longest, actually, I believe, for this one. Was it 9 years? I believe between Seed and this one, is that they were trying to do a remake for many years. And when I say they, I should say we've kind of, again, we talked about it going into this series, but it's remarkable that Don Mancini has written every one of these movies. It just doesn't happen with almost any series, much less a horror franchise that keeps coming back every few years and is now decades old. And the fact that he keeps writing them and David Kirshner keeps producing them, and they were actively talking for several years especially around 2008, because that was the 20th anniversary and there was a new Blu-ray and DVD, so they were doing a lot of press. And I remember IGN, I looked it up, Chris Monfett interviewed him. They were talking about a remake because that's what everyone was doing.
Yeah, and also everyone was remaking things, but also following Seed of Chucky. After that movie, well, you might as well just scorch the earth and start over a little.
It was both. It was the fact that Seed of Chucky had done poorly and had a negative reaction, and every horror franchise was getting the, hard reboot, hard remake. So it was Chucky's turn, but it was going to be Mancini and Kirshner doing it. So it was still them doing it. And I was glad to see him confirm what I suspected, both interviews. And I also watched I listened to the commentary last week, which is, I was like, I bet one thing that stopped it was the MGM of it all. And I was right, because MGM made the original, Universal took over the franchise, but to remake the original, MGM would have to be involved. There's the same thing that happened with Friday 13th, which is why Friday 13th opens with the New Line logo and the Paramount logo, because New Line / Warner Brothers couldn't do any movie that was like a remake of the original without getting Paramount involved, even though they now were doing the franchise because Paramount owned those movies. And so it's the same thing with Child's Play. And in this case, they couldn't work it out. They couldn't work out the deal. We'll talk in a couple weeks about the fact that Universal couldn't remake Child's Play without MGM, but MGM could remake Child's Play without Universal. And that will come up in a couple weeks when we get to the last movie in this that we're talking about.
I haven't seen that, so I'm curious. I've heard bad things.
But no, it was interesting that this finally happened. And as he called it, he said they decided they were like, let's just do another sequel. But as he said, we approached it as what he calls a tonal reboot, which it very much is.
Yes. And you can look at this as a reboot-quel of sort, which is a word I think I kind of made up. I don't think anyone really uses it.
No, I see people on Twitter use it.
Yeah, after I used it, Eric, is what I'm saying.
I mean, you might have. Look, you might have. Sure.
I think and you know what else? And I apologize for this wholeheartedly. I think I also, because Eric, we were writing reviews and articles, sort of not the infancy of the internet, but like online entertainment journalism, like we're talking about the later aughts here. Mm-hmm. And how do you sign off at the end of anything? You say, let us know in the comments below. That's what I would write all the time. And now everyone writes it. And I think I invented that when I said, like back in 2008, let us know in the comments below. I never meant it. I never I never read the comments. I didn't give a shit.
I don't want to know what you think.
But that's what you just do at the end,
Sure.
The courtesy, let us know, ...
Yeah.
So that I apologize profusely for. But I also think I invented Reboot-quel, and there's a chance I invented Spooktacular, like decades.
Wow, you are going for all the credit.
All right.
Oh, and then I just wanted to weave back to the fact that Hazo was mentioning the fact that this was straight to video, which because certainly there was, myself included, there were fans that were just disappointed we couldn't go see this in a theater, but Universal has a studio keeps, this is something that's been viable for them. And you go back to the fact that, in the 90s, they were making Darkman sequels, and then they made a shitload of Land Before Time sequels. But in more recent years, it's like Death Race sequels and all the Scorpion King sequels. They did Hard Target 2 like 2 years ago. So Universal, just as a studio, sees a viability in these straight-to-video sequels that are just like, here's a name, or bring it on. And sometimes it has zero to do. And I heard, sometimes it's basically a remake. And then in the case of Chucky, it is an actual in continuity continuation. And so the budget was lower, but the same people were involved, and they did a really good job with it.
This film, for a while before it starts connecting to previous movies, you do wonder while you're watching it, and I think it's by design, is this a reboot? Like, there is an element where before, like, Nika starts looking up like the history of the Chucky doll, or before the priest says like, oh, there's something about that doll. Like, you don't know what the fuck's going on in this movie. And there is a little bit of retconning. And while we brought it up for Bride of Chucky when we were speaking to Liv Morgan about how any past stuff about Charles Lee Ray is fair game because they never said shit about him. Yeah. So the fact that the Tiffany Valentine existed, they all explain that within the first 10 minutes and it all works. This is a little more clumsy only because it's not to say that he couldn't have been obsessed with another woman in the past. It's that Chucky being all about family or Charles Lee Ray not being all about family as somebody who really wants like a nuclear family unit to love and adore him feels out of left field. That's the only clumsy element of this movie, especially coming after how much he didn't want to get married in Bride and how much he sort of resented his family in Seed. This didn't quite gel, but the rest of it is great.
I think you're absolutely right, Matt, because as I recall, when you're talking about the is it a reboot question? I believe they were purposely very coy in the lead up. And it felt like this might be a gentle reboot where let's just put the character Chucky in a scenario and it can have zero connection to the other movies. And, and maybe it is, I mean, almost in a way that people have sometimes argued on the flip side, like, well, could you argue Friday 13, 2009 does take place in continuity with the other movies? If you wanted to, you could try to like logic that, even though it's, wonky. And this almost felt like, oh, maybe it's going to be that kind of case until they suddenly directly start referencing the other movies and then bring back characters you didn't think they were going to bring back in this movie. But I think that worked really well. And I also just, I talked about how Don Mancini was a first-time director with Seed, and I think it shows. And then I think here you see how much he is matured as a director. Because he does a great job here and really shows again the malleability. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Of Chucky as a character, which is something that he talked about a lot, that Chucky is sort of such a crazy idea. You can stick him into a lot of different types of movies, but also show that he could make this shift from, Seed of Chucky to a fault going into like farce. And then like, let's go back into something that's like, the scariest Chucky's been since the first movie, and arguably like the most. I think you're absolutely right. This is like the most pure horror of any of the movies so far. I mean, Chucky again doesn't speak till 45 minutes in, like the original, but even more, it's just like, it really plays it, the horror of it. Because after he starts speaking, it still doesn't kind of go to the extremes of the first movie, even with what happens with him.
What is present though is sort of Child's Play Chucky franchise bread and butter, which is great stuff. Going back to basics of delaying seeing him do stuff, then seeing him just sort of doing stuff in the background. There are a lot of jump scares in this movie, and then at the end, when the dust settles, the complete ruining and framing of somebody else for everything.
Right.
Like that, like going back, like that's a terrifying scenario as it is. I'm so happy she was able to laugh about it. She seemed to be taking it very well.
Well, because she snaps, but yes.
Well, it got her out of the house, right? So anything that gives her a change of scenery. Fiona Dourif. So Brad Dourif's daughter. This has become a family affair. Fiona Dourif, what are some things she's been in? She was in the first season of the Purge TV show, which Eric refuses to watch because he is aggressively anti Purge TV show.
Yeah, I'm aggressively anti-Purge franchise. um, Fiona Dourif was also in why am I just blanking on it? The Stand that just aired, the new version of The Stand. And she was also in the it's funny, it's a show that I still kind of want to see, even though the person who made it is a douchebag who's now
Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective
Dirk
Agency?
Gently. Yes. And
I watched the
she was
first
one
two
of the
episodes and I couldn't get through it, but yeah.
So you were not into that. I know some people who were, but yeah. And then she was. I think she also she's been on the Blacklist for several episodes as well. So she's done a lot of stuff. But she's Brad Dourif's daughter. They talked about how on the commentary that she actually auditioned to play Barb or Barbie, the sister. But then it was one of those things where he decided he talked about how it was a funny process because he thought, she might be better for Nika. But then he thought, okay, I really like her, but then am I only casting her because of Brad, or am I not going to cast her because I'm afraid people will think of it's only because of Brad? But then he also thought, but if I cast her, people will think she's playing Chucky's daughter, which she's not. But then he decided that's fine if that's what they think it's going. Like he just decided, like, screw it. Like, that's fine. They can go with that.
He thought people were going to accuse him of like weird nepotism on the Chucky franchise? Like, I don't think people.
Well, yes, yeah, but that wasn't even as big a thing as just like. Yeah,
I think people would have cared if she sucked, right? Like, all in all, like if it sucks, people will complain. If not, if it's great, then it's all good.
Yeah, if you're, I'm sorry to say, because she's a very talented director, but if you're Sofia Coppola in Godfather 3, then people complain. But if you're Fiona Dourif and Curse of Chucky, then people don't complain because they really like you, and you become another beloved part of the franchise.
She is great in this as Nika Pierce, a paraplegic, sort of shut in who, the theme here is she's not living her life to the fullest. She's also sort of being undercut by her mentally ill mother. It starts off with her sort of caring for her mom, or vice versa, or however you want to see this scenario. Her mom's certainly not nice to her because that delivery guy was clearly flirting with her.
Yep. Orphan Black's Jordan Gervais. Yep.
Oh, is that how that was? Okay.
That's the brother from Orphan Black. Yeah.
But so then the first thing out of the gate, I'm like, Chucky's mailing himself again, another hallmark of the series. Yes. But by the end, we find out
Chucky's going to mail himself.
Because he is going to mail himself constantly. We do find out that he's got some help in the mailing department, though. So in the fun cameo at the end of this film. So the Pierce family gets the package and quickly leads to a very mysterious death in the house where the mom is dead, but it is ruled because she was mentally unstable, a suicide.
Yeah.
And again, Chucky doing things, other instances and circumstances being blamed for it or people. And let's talk about the opening of the box, the reveal of the Chucky doll, and the different look to the Chucky doll in this context. I remember when I saw this for the first time in the fall, I was like, oh, okay. And another thing that actually also makes you wonder how much of a remake this is we just had 2 movies of the scarred, stitched up Chucky, and now we've got a pristine doll to work with. Later point in the film, we'll find out what's happened to that. It is the scarred, stitched up Chucky. But we're like, how much of a fresh start are we getting here? Because the doll is not just fresh and pristine, it looks different than the original Child's Play Good Guy doll.
Yes, it looks different, and it was really bothering me, and I still find it off-putting. But then, of course, the reveal, I'm like, oh, okay, then there's a plot point about why it's looks off and looks bigger and looks weird, because it turns out, of course, we can see it around here, as you just mentioned, it's like it's a face on a face. He's disguising what he really looks like. So this is his Master of Disguise Chucky. So it definitely helped when that happened, because I still don't like how he looks, because he's not the like appealing a prone toy Chucky of the first couple movies. But then there is actually a reason for it, as we find out later. So that was cool.
And it's unsettling, the look, but it's also before the reveal of like that he's sort of reskinned himself and put a layer of plastic over his scars. When he's evil, regular Chucky in this, it looks a little scarier than original factory setting 80s Chucky. It just
Yeah.
looks unsettling, and I don't like it. Like, I literally don't. And I'm like, oh, I don't like that face. I don't want to see it. It's just I think it works on that level of like it's kind of like go away heat. Like, it's like, I don't like you because you're a good heel. I hate you because you're a good heel. It's like, I hate you because I hate you. Like, like, it's just not a good experience. So the mom's dead, and the family now sort of pours in. Nika's sister Barb, her husband.
Oh, let
Ian.
me pause for 1 second to say, I really dig the opening credits, and I really dig the score by Joseph DeLuca. It's my second favorite score after Child's Play 2. It has a cool theme, although I think Child's Play 2 theme is even better.
I wish you weren't actually talking about only the Child's Play franchise. And that I could hold you to it's my second favorite score after Child's Play 2.
But Joseph DeLuca is best known for all his work with Sam Raimi. He did all 3 Evil Dead movies, Raimi Evil Dead movies. He did Ash vs. Evil Dead. He did Xena and Hercules and Spartacus, things that Raimi produced. So if it's not Danny Elfman, it's Joseph DeLuca, and he does a cool score here.
Yeah, Barb, husband Ian, whose thing is that he's tired all the time, which is fun. I look, having worked in coffee myself, I know how early you have to wake up,
Sure.
but also you're surrounded by coffee. And then on their au pair, their nanny, looking at the cast list here, Jill. Okay.
Which wasn't it? Jane was the assistant in the last one. I did think it was funny. They both had kind of young blondes with the J names. In Sita Chucky, I believe that was her name.
Joan.
Okay.
Joan, I believe. So we've got them, and then we've got Father Frank, played by A. Martinez, who you will have seen in everything. Days of Our Lives, Soap Opera World. But for me, at least more recently, Longmire, who is sort of a recurring character villain on that show.
I most remember him from LA Law because I watched LA Law. But yeah, ton of daytime soaps. I know Santa Barbara was kind of his claim to fame originally, and then since then he did a million others. And I see that he has been on Queen of the South in the last couple of years.
Queen of the South, that's that weird. That's like in the wake of the characters. Welcome.
Remember, you and I were at ATX, and there was
there was a cool Queen of the South party for the first season, right?
Yes.
Was it the launch party, or was it like heading into season 2?
I think remember. It was. I don't know. I don't know if it was a launch party, but it was season 1, I believe. I think it was season 1.
And they are there to for different reasons, because the mom died, to console Nika, but also Barb's a bitch, and she's had like this weird invisible rivalry going with Nika for some reason.
And the house was left to both of them, and she wants them to sell it.
She wants them to sell it. At a certain point, you don't really wonder why Nika's resisting, because the look of that house, and it comes with a fucking elevator, that would sell for a lot of money.
Yes.
But yeah, she doesn't want to sell. She's mean to her husband, who's tired all the time because he's got to work at Starbucks. I don't know why. I guess he lost his job. Something about print media is dead, which you and I experienced with a lot of people we knew who worked for print media back around that time at the beginning of the last decade.
Absolutely.
A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of entertainment sections were cut and gutted.
Yeah.
So very relevant at the time. Turning you into a latte making loser, as Barb will call Ian later in the film.
And she's also very sort of demeaning to Nika and her being in a wheelchair, and wants to put her into like a special, home. Like, she doesn't think she can live on her own. So yeah.
And they have also another, famous element of Child's Play movies. There is a kid named Alice. And he does want to hide his soul with her.
That's right. So, again, playing back to the first movie, and I guess obviously the third tried to do it not so successfully, but definitely brings back that element of the first one, of the kid with the doll, and the doll's her friend.
And the doll's whispering to her when we can't hear it, and saying disturbing things like there is no God, or you're all going to die, and stuff like that. Quality Chucky time with kids behind their parents' back. And there's just a lot of things that really worked well here, but in a much more confined, controlled, and claustrophobic setting than first Child's Play movie, which sprawled all of Chicago. There were car chases and explosions. Was multiple this the first movie without an explosion?
They use the explosion from the first movie in a flashback.
This is the first movie without an explosion of its own, because even the last movie had a Britney Spears car blowing up, I think.
Right.
So, everything just works really well because it lets we sit as viewers with a question for such a long time about why Chucky is here and with this family. We just wonder forever. And then they're watching an old family home movie, which has to have been from the 80s, but was somehow actually filmed on film. It looks like it's from the 60s or 70s. So, and I don't know if I picked it up the first time I saw it. I guess I figured that was Charles Lee Ray and the weird long-haired guy with the sunglasses in the background. Ian's falling asleep because that's his whole thing. In fact, he wakes up and Barb's like, go back to sleep. You'd think he was 85 years old. I skipped over the dinner part, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
you skipped over who ate the rat poison, which is
it was an extended sequence of Chucky just can't help himself at this point, where it's like, because this didn't have to play out as mysteriously and quietly as it did. Like his little hand reaches out. That's the first time we actually see the movement of the doll in the movie. Mm-hmm. Is his hand with Pet Chow rat poison. That's all I can think of when I see rat poison now. Because
it's the second time because we do see him reach his hand out to her, the little girl. Remember when?
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
No, but do you remember the SNL commercial for Pet Chow rat poison, Eric?
I do.
Every time I see a big box of rat poison, I just think of Will Ferrell making sure his dog doesn't eat the wrong bowl of fucking kibble. Pet Chow, rat poison. Okay, so it's disturbing to know that one of the bowls has rat poison. It zooms in on the bowl that shows you the powder because none of the other bowls have that powder. And then it becomes like a weird like roulette at the table, looking over top. Who's going to sit in what chair? Who's going to get the tainted bowl of chili? All the while, I'm worried about who's going to get the chili, while also kind of being upset that all she's serving is chili. Like as dinner, like there's no bread, there's nothing, like no salad to go along. Everyone just gets a bowl of chili.
I do love chili, Matt.
I know, but by itself,
I went to Barney's Beanery the other day, and it was great. Chili.
You just go and order a bowl of chili with nothing.
I had chili cheese fries, but
I'm saying, give them something they could pour the.
Usually,
chili
you'd
on.
have something with a bowl of chili,
something to dip in it, or a salad.
Yes.
Just a bowl of chili, and everyone's eating it so slowly because I got to make this meal last. Everyone I know would be done with that bowl of chili in like 30 seconds and be like, all right, that was dinner. Okay. So the priest eats the chili, but again, so, because just the way the movie plays out and they can't blow up the mystery just yet. The Father Frank has a very quiet and calm reaction where he's like, oh, I don't feel well. I'm going to excuse myself. When really he could have just violently vomited on the spot and just convulsed and died right there.
Right.
But, going through the movie and looking at how it ends, he dies out on the road in a certain way to bring the cops into the mix at the end. And, you do wonder why certain things happen off screen. A lot of it's because of budget, but then also story wise, it works if you see like this brings the young cop to the house and then later into the sort of end game with Tiffany and so on. And you did get a sort of a moment of gotcha gore with his head popping off.
Which was very fun.
Killing the priest right away, but they don't know about it. That's the other thing.
Right.
So Chucky can literally murder somebody.
Their night is not disrupted yet.
The cops don't even know it's his body. Like the cause of death is the decapitation and car accident.
Right.
They will find the rat poison in his body later because you see the Pet Chow rat poison at the trial at the end.
Yeah.
But and that he was clutching his rosary beads, so he wasn't in a great state of mind when he hit the other car. Mm-hmm. But at that point, no one in the house knows that he's dead, that a tragedy has occurred. So that story is able to play out the way it would normally had he not been poisoned and just left. So it works in that regard too, where it doesn't disrupt the delay of the mystery for the viewer.
Mhm.
And so at this time, the doll's vanishing. It's doing weird things. Nika starts to notice that it's not where she left it. Like it's, on the floor, or it's missing from a chair here and there. Something weird's happening. It's talking to Alice in weird ways. So she starts doing an internet search for it. Meanwhile, Chucky is upstairs after everyone in the house has searched for this doll, and it's been revealed in a twist that Barb and Jill are actually the ones having an affair, and not the typical go-to of the father and the nanny sleeping together. It's the other way around.
And that all of Barb's noticing him being flirty with her was more her being jealous. Is she being flirty with him? That was where her jealousy was coming from. Not that it was different. She zigged, not zagged.
Yeah, it works. It subverts the convention. It's fun. It works. And it kind of does. It doesn't make. In the end, they will both wind up dying, and Alice winds up an orphan and eventually taken over by Chucky, assumedly. That it doesn't make both of her parents totally shitty. Like just Barb. Like she was already a bitch, so why not also make her the one that's cheating? I guess.
Right. And by the way, I do like the nice touch that Jill, despite having sleeping with her boss behind her other boss's back, is nice about Nika and says maybe you should just let her live here. Like she's like trying to get Barb to back off the kick her out of the house.
She's nice about Nika, and she's nice about Alice. Like she actually is happy that Alice is happy with the Chucky doll. Like like she's been so upset, is something like she says. So I'm glad to see her happy, because her parents are shitty, I guess. Her mom's horrible, and her dad's always sleeping.
He's a sleeper.
What a sleeper this guy is.
Goddamn sleeper.
Sleepy Ian, the latte making loser. So everything works. And the moment that Chucky finally reveals himself, trying to think.
Our first Durif. Which was it's 45 minutes in, which is actually, because this movie's a little longer than the others, it's like 96 minutes, so 45 minutes in, which is the same as the original. It's just not quite halfway, but that's when she says, Chucky, I'm scared, and you hear Brad Dourif's voice say, you fucking should be, and that's our first Dourif of the movie.
But before we get that moment, there is the great line that Chucky says that we don't get to hear because it's only relayed to others by Alice, is Chucky says we're all gonna die, which it's always good to hear what Chucky's saying to the kid when we can't hear it.
He also says, there is no God, life's a bitch, and then you die bleeding like a stuffed pig. That is.
I mean, he's upped his game since his name is Charles Lee Ray, and Daddy sent him down from heaven to play with me.
Right.
Okay. I know I'm skipping over some things, but it's a small movie. So we've got Brad Dourif voice. We've got under the covers actual evil Chucky face revealing himself to Alice right before she sort of vanishes. Once again, we've got a kid that doesn't have any like quality danger sense, or then a note that anything could be possibly wrong about a doll that swears and is mean and looks horrifying, and decides to play hide and seek. We don't know that till later, but that everyone's looking for her. Right. He locks her in a cupboard somewhere while Nika is researching Chucky, and this is when it starts.
This is when we realize we're actually watching a sequel for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I was so happy the post-credit scene brought Alex Vincent into this movie specifically. Yes, they could have saved him for other things, but because it's one thing to see a picture of Andy and his mom, it's another thing to read his name on screen. But Nika says Andy Barclay. Like she says his name out loud, and that means something. Like that's way more of a statement than any of the other movies did.
Yes.
They'll mention his name a lot more during the Endgame fight and stuff like that. But because it's the blending together of everything.
Yep.
LA Homicide, Niagara Falls homicide. So we've got Seed, we've got Bride, and then Chicago triple homicide. So then we go back to the original movies.
We've got Kent Military Academy.
Yeah, so
listed.
everything is mentioned there.
Yep.
So it's a great, fun, very quick moment of this. Yes, what you have been watching counts with all of this the same way.
Yep.
And it's really fun. It's a fun bit of connectivity there that you weren't sure you were going to get at all.
Right. Yep. It could have been, like they said, it could have been a movie where they can just say Chucky's been around for a while and you don't get any mention of what happened before. Or, like you said, it's like Bride of Chucky had like the little boy claims doll killed article, and that was it. Like, that was like their one little reference to, which was, Bride being the first time they did a light reboot. But yeah, this one is like, no, we're gonna at least acknowledge everything, that happened.
Okay. Skipping over some deaths here. Jill gets killed. Barb gets killed. Jill gets killed on, while in the midst of, we were talking about at the top of this episode, the video call.
Yeah.
Where Barb swears she sees someone in the background, thinks Alice is actually awake, but it's Chucky walking around. Then while looking for Alice, Barb gets killed. And that's when we get a first note of like, you have your mother's eyes, stabs her in the eyes and steps on her eyes, stuff like that. So then you're wondering what the connective measures are with like the family. Other things about Nika. She has a heart condition because of her being a paraplegic. And we find out that she can get cut on her leg and not feel it.
Yeah.
That happens during an elevator scene.
By the way, I really like that. There's a great visual. It's also just a great creepy moment of when she's sitting in the elevator with Chucky on her lap and the power goes out. And it's just, so it's like this cool silhouette of the two of them. And there's this fact that we know she's got a killer doll sitting on her lap, stuck on the elevator. Nothing happens in that part, but it's creepy.
Limiting her mobility like that. Like it works for it. It does work for any horror movie. Like,
yeah,
limiting anybody's ability to escape or to go help somebody else in a horror movie would work in a Halloween movie. It would work in a Jason movie. It would work in any franchise. But there's something about it being a small killer like Chucky that makes it different, especially at the end when she's all taped up and Chucky's sort of in control, and it's really, really unsettling.
No, it's funny. It addresses, something we joked about with Liv Morgan, which is Don Mancini said on the commentary. He said putting her in the wheelchair, besides it evoking sort of classic movies, he knows everyone makes the joke, why don't you just kick him?
Yeah.
And so, well, a character who literally cannot do that. That's going to be the main character.
And when you add to that, the elevator going, the power goes out, the elevator doesn't work. Then you've got her phone doesn't work and the landline doesn't work, stuff like that for the storm or just for the sake of horror moviness. And that she has to drag herself upstairs to get help or to anything, or even down the hall when escaping him and opening the closet door to get a new wheelchair. It just adds to the suspense and to the nerve-wrackingness of this entire ordeal. Then, so she goes to, after she discovers her sister dead, she, and discovers Chucky is alive. I'm trying to think of what the beats are here. She escapes Chucky, getting into her wheelchair. And she goes into a new room, locks the door to wake up Ian.
Right.
And of course she's waking him up because he is asleep.
He's a sleeper.
He also has earbuds in or something like that. And then you've got, a moment of reprieve because we've got another character who's going to, if not, maybe not believe that Chucky's alive and killing people, seeing other dead people and knowing that some cops need to come to the house. And this is somebody who can walk and kick Chucky if need be.
Right.
And
also, by the way, I kind of liked that he was the other one who lasted as long, only because I think you would have expected it to be Barb, most likely, even though Barb is definitely going to die. It is surprising she dies before her husband, just as far as like the order you expect these characters to go out.
But then with him, the ultimate Chucky plan that maybe he doesn't even mean sometimes, because Chucky just kills people. Yeah. But once Ian starts to actually think, oh God, Nika has killed everyone.
Right.
That's the rub there. And that's what's going to screw her in the end. Again, she takes it in stride. She takes it like a trooper. Seems very happy.
I think we're supposed to think she takes it more like someone who's cracked, Matt.
Yeah, look, I'll take a smile any way I can get it. Right?
Sure.
Everyone's got, and that's when I became the Joker. Right. Yeah, and there's the great moment in the garage. Now, during all this is Ian's moment of clarity when he actually looks at it. He put a nanny cam in Chucky and actually.
Washington Radio Shack, R.I.P.
While she's dealing with Chucky in the garage, who's trying to kill her with a car or carbon monoxide poisoning, swallows the key, which is a fun Chucky move. Mm-hmm. And then when he comes back is when he sort of starts to accuse her and wonder if she actually butchered everyone. And he gets butchered too in a scene that's probably a lot more gorier than the one I recently saw because it was edited down. But,
it's very gory.
This is just a one axe drop to the head.
Yeah, his whole jaw is like torn open.
Because I remember it from the fall, but the one I just watched was very heavily edited. Friday the 13th, New Blood style,
right? But and here they didn't lose. No one threw out the footage.
It's not in a Transylvania salt mine.
No.
And then, then we just get a really cool physical showdown with Chucky and Nika, where she goes from being completely tied up and controlled by him, which is terrifying, to breaking free and fighting back, using her own legs as a shield for an axe chop. But then the coolest shot in the movie is like the pushing of her wheelchair off of the top floor landing, crashing down to the sort of foyer floor below, which is really cool looking shot.
Yeah. Although, but we kind of skipped over. There's a lot of great. I love her also. Of course he can't hurt her in the leg, and then also when she grabs the knife like by the blade trying to stop him. But we didn't
skip over that. That's the end when she locks herself in the
right
in the elevator when she catches the knife. But but also like while she's on the floor and severely injured is when he starts monologuing. And not only do we get to have a full dialogue, father-daughter and real life dialogue between Chucky and Nika, but then he explains the backstory of like how, it's never said aloud, but he killed their father. He fell in love with their mother when she was pregnant with Nika, had something to do with their father's death while the mom was still pregnant, captured the mother. The mother was trying to do her best to steer him away from picking Barb up from school. She's tied up down in his lair. He's bringing in sunflowers, and he stabs her while she's pregnant, and that's why Nika is born as paraplegic. And it's all this backstory that totally works in the context of this movie. It's just sort of a square peg for the Chucky we've known personality-wise. That's all.
I get what you're saying. Mostly, though, I really love it. And we just have to talk about the fact that Brad Dourif plays Charles Lee Ray physically again 25 years later. This movie was the 25th anniversary movie for the series. And it is funny that he plays him more in this movie than he's ever played him, more than he plays him in Child's Play 1. And that I think they do a pretty good job of selling, I think like 63-year-old Brad Dourif. Yeah, you could look like, you could tell maybe there's a little something off with some of the makeup because you're looking, but I think,
but it's also black and white. It's also black and white, and that hides some of it.
Yes. But considering especially how low budget this movie is, they didn't have the Marvel de-aging budget. I think they do a very good job of Dourif coming back to play that role. And it helps. The long hair, the wig, there's a lot of ways that it helps. But yeah, very fun to do that. And then they do the thing of, they tie it directly to the first one because the cops show up. He goes running. It's like patrol cop, so it's not Mike. But then we do see Mike. They show a flashback of Chris Sarandon. The one thing that is funny that was mentioned in one of the interviews I saw is the one thing it also skips over, Matt, that again you could say you can still make it work if you want to, but where is Eddie Caputo, his partner?
Yeah, where's his partner in all that? And to basically, we're to believe that Nika's mom is the one who ratted him out, called the cops somehow, brought the heat down on Charles Lee Ray, and in conjunction somehow Eddie Caputo. But yeah, this is the retconning element that it isn't hard to just absorb and make fit, but you are actively making it fit. It's not an easy glide.
Yeah, you have to do a little work.
But yeah, again, it's a good film and it's a good restart for the series. So we'll forgive that and suspend disbelief in it and just sort of compartmentalize it however need be within our own brains.
Sure.
And you know, on a Mike Norris note, it is nice to know that I think we can assume that he did wind up in a couple with Andy's mom.
That's certainly what we're meant to infer with the How's Mike. Yeah, with him. First of all, we know that Karen got out of that goddamn hospital.
Yeah, because he wasn't going over to visit her there because he's like, "Don't get me anything for my birthday." That's another that's another joke about the first movie.
She's no longer institutionalized, and presumably she might be in a romantic relationship with Mike now. So that is a nice thing there. But we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves with the final because there are multiple, there are multiple endings kind of this movie, and certainly there are multiple.
Oh yeah, there are multiple endings, and also in one more big tie-in to all the movies. If we're gonna sort of go out on a limb here and talk about how Chucky's, we've just never known it, and he's always acted the opposite of this. Has always been about a wife and kids and that family. He said there have been a lot of families already, the Barclays, the Kincaids, the Tillys. So whatever you actually mean by the Tillys, because there was Jennifer Tilly, but then Tiffany became Tilly. And then I guess there's Glenn named Glenn Tilly.
Yeah, they would have been.
Glenn Tilly and Glenda Tilly. Okay.
Yep.
And then more mentions of Andy and the fact that Nika brings up how like, oh, you never actually even killed him. And he's like, I killed his childhood, but then she still mocks him. And we're going back to a movie. We mentioned it during Bride of Chucky, how it was great to have Chucky for there to be someone else for Chucky to talk to. It went a little overboard in Seed of Chucky, but Bride of Chucky really worked that and found a great balance for that. Here, though, antagonist-wise, he's actually actively fighting someone who isn't A, a little kid, or B, still Andy in Child's Play 3, older, who he still doesn't talk to a lot. He has a few lines. He's like, look at your Playboy, or whatever, right. Or whatever that magazine was called.
Playpen, I believe.
But here he has like a monologue and sort of barbs back and forth with Nika that really work well, and she has no context for any of this. Like, this is her first meeting of Chucky and the first learning of Chucky existing in the past with other families. This is all happening within the course of a few hours for poor Nika. And it still just really works well, like the antagonistic barbs back and forth. No pun intended for Barb. But yeah.
I just want to mention you're making me remember that another thing again, because it's not like this is the only movie to do this. We've talked about it. Basically, the last two movies, 4, 5, and 6, all play a little fast and loose with continuity, introducing the amulet and little things in that. It is funny because when they see Chucky for the first time, everyone's like, oh, he's familiar. But for Ian, it's like, oh, good guys. Yeah, they were so popular. But it's the priest who's like, I remember something on the news. Even though the 5th movie, it's like, it's so well known. They're making a movie out of it. But it's like, now it's a decade later. And it's like, only the priest kind of vaguely remembers there was something in the news.
He's also the oldest. So who knows? Yeah. And he also deals with evil, Eric.
That's true. He does. Yes.
He sees Satan and everything. So, there's also an element here that I can't remember how much cult answers regarding this, but we don't know where the amulet is in this. We don't know how Chucky was actually brought back to life. We don't know how he was brought back to life at the end tag of Seed of Chucky. We don't know any of that.
His arm.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah. We don't know that at all. That could have just been a goof that you can sort of ignore. But we don't know how this version of Chucky was in an evidence locker, was brought back to life. We assume it was Tiffany. We assume it was the amulet. None of it's shown. But also, when Chucky's head's knocked off in this movie, he is a doll. When he is stabbed in this movie, he is a doll. Poof comes out, not blood.
That's been inconsistent all the movies, though. Like, as much as I said it's a great visual in Seed when they open up her battery pack and it's like flesh and blood. Well, that's not. It's like in the first movie, it's a battery pack. There's been a lot of inconsistency to how much physically they become human.
Right, but we also wonder, though, like, he was here to kill the family, not necessarily possess Alice, but after the trial, he's there to play hide the soul with her, but not necessarily because there's a rush for him. There's a time element where he's going to become human.
Right.
Because that's not happening in this movie. He's just a doll by the end still.
Yeah.
So he's just doing it to do it because he wants to hide in plain sight inside a human being, not because he needs to. And it certainly wasn't his plan when he was mailed to the Pierce family in the first place, because he didn't know Alice was going to show up at all. He's just trying to kill the mom and everyone. So
right.
It's unclear how he was resurrected, why he's still a doll and doesn't have any type of like living tissue or blood inside his body, when that's always sort of been the case in different aspects.
And while we're throwing all this out here, I'll also mention he doesn't look, even though they reveal the stitches, he doesn't look like the Bride and Seed version, who was way more stitched up and had the stapled together head and hair. Like, he's got stitches, but not to the extreme he did in Bride and Seed. So
he's got stitches, but not like he's a snitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Because snitches get stitches. I think that he is. Yeah, it is a reboot, and it doesn't quite connect the way you would want it to in a Tinker Toy sense. It's just, it all just still works, and you go with it. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, the police at the end of this movie are not going to find, oh, this is a weird doll. It's got bones in it. You know, like, this dead doll has a brain. What the fuck am I looking at? It's when she stabs him and those poofs come out, like, they're going to find a doll. And that just works to convict her even more, because there wasn't even anything off about this doll. It was, for all accounts, a regular good guy doll. Then she gets convicted of killing her entire family, and she's sent away. And I'm telling you, she was pretty tickled about that, Erica.
Well, she's more screaming. She screams, "I'm still alive." She's basically like, "Hey,
hey, Barb got her wish. She's going to be in a care facility."
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then we've got the different endings. Great showdown between Chucky and Nika. The trial. Then we've got Chucky with Alice having killed the grandmother, or
that's after. That's because first we get Tiffany.
Yeah. Oh, and then Tiffany doing a sort of a callback to what she did in Bride of Chucky, which is sort of bribing a cop to steal the doll after the trial, giving it to her. She kills him. She's like, they never learn. And then in a playfully funny way, because she's not Jennifer Tilly, she is Tiffany Valentine possessing Jennifer Tilly and Jennifer Tilly's body, goes to mail the package with Chucky in it. And everything she says is so incriminating. Everything she says is like, what's in here? She's like, oh, just put other, everything she says is so suspicious that I would have, if I was that post office worker.
Jennifer Tilly's here and she's being very suspicious.
Okay, so she sends the package. We find out in the post-credit sequence. No, she sends it to Alice.
She sent it to Alice. That's right.
But then she's also still sending packages. Again, how much of this, I can't remember how much of this will be answered or attempted to be answered in Cult.
Some is my recollection. Some. But I've only seen Cult once or twice, but yeah.
So she sends it to Alice. From what we can tell, Chucky possesses Alice. So
it ends with him in the process of it, you know.
So we would assume he's successful in being the soul inside this little girl. Then 6 months later,
and we see the grandmother who he covered with a plastic bag. The last thing going to credits, her sort of screaming under the bag.
We get the great, fun cameo of Alex Vincent as Andy Barclay, all grown up, same actor, returning to the series, calling his mom on the phone or getting a call from her, making the funny jokes about don't get me no surprises for my birthday. How's Mike doing? He's got a really cool headshot of Kyle, like he's framed.
A picture of Kyle. He's got his military academy diploma. So he graduated from that military academy.
They let him go back?
He chose to go back. Yeah. We still don't know exactly what happened there. What was the girl's name? We still what happened there?
Oh yeah, what was the DeSoto? What was her name in that movie?
I can't remember. I gotta look it up.
Well, you gotta look up
her name.
I think it was De Silva. She's Perry Reeves, right? Okay. But then Andy gets the drop on him. He's like, I know the shape of this box. You're not, you're not going to fool me. As soon as he gets that package, he probably knows what's in it. He's got a shotgun aimed right at Chucky's head. Fun way to end this movie. But, it leaves you with questions like, did he not possess Alice? Why is he, like 6 months later, after being sent to Alice, being sent to Andy? Why didn't he just be sent to Andy in the first place? Why is he keep being sent to people like?
Yeah, what happened with Alice that now 6 months later he's being sent to Andy? Yeah, there's
exactly that's the question. Okay,
there's a lot of questions there.
But this is a fun fucking movie, and I like.
It's a really good movie, and when it came out, I remember the reaction was that it's a really good Child's Play sequel, and it's also a really good direct-to-video horror movie, and that it was too bad we couldn't go see it in the theater because it was like already people were bummed it was going to go straight to video, and then when it turned out to be really good, it was like, oh man, it's too bad we couldn't see this theater. But at the end of the day, I'm just glad that they put a lot of work and care into it, and even though it was the lowest budget one, they made that money count. I listened to the commentary, a couple things that jumped out. Well, they talked about being the lowest budget, talked about it being like a 30-day schedule, which was basically half the schedule that they had for the other ones, which were usually like 50 to 60 days. I will say it's funny to see within a decade how much, technology and CGI can evolve, because we had See the Chucky where we called out some of the very wonky CG moments. Then there on the commentary, he's mentioning moments that were CG that I didn't know were CG at all. Like the sweat on the priest when he's eating we didn't make him sweat on command, that CG sweat, and all these parts that I was surprised were digital, just to goes to show you that this much lower budgeted movie had much better digital effects a decade later that did not. The one thing he did talk about that was interesting, even though, you could tell there's a digital effect to some extent, but I think it's really cool, is Jill's death and how her eye kind of burns out. The way they shot that was way less visceral. They actually researched what it really looks like when you're electrocuted to death, and then it just didn't look good enough for the movie. Like, it wasn't cool enough for the movie, so months later they decided to up it.
They should have just made her shake and convulse and her hair stick straight up. And
also, I want to recommend to everyone, if you have been enjoying these movies, now that you've seen the first 6, go to YouTube and type in Mike Realm, that's RELM, Chucky remix, and you will see a cool. Mike Realm does these cool remixes for a lot of movies, and he did a really cool one when this movie came out specifically, so it goes through the first 6, that takes the theme from this movie, remixes it to a great montage of all 6 movies to date at the time in 2013 that I quite enjoy. Has a little Chucky murderous montage of how far we've come, all the access to the faces, all the decapitations, they're all there for you.
And this was part of Hollywood Horror Nights too.
This was Chucky's been at Halloween Horror Nights a few times. The Blu-ray, in fact, Matt, has a Halloween Horror Nights promo at the beginning mentioning Chucky will be back for Halloween Horror Nights 2013.
Oh boy. All right. So we've got one more official movie in the franchise
of the continuity.
And then the reboot, which has a good cast for everything I've seen, the reboot. But let's see. Okay. So next week is, I'm going to get this right, Cult.
Yes.
of Chucky, not Curse of Chucky. Oof, those okay.
Stay through the credits.
Stay through the credits of those. Again, if I watch it on DirecTV, I'm going to be seeing the neutered version of it, but I don't mind. I've seen the regular one. It exists in my memories. All right.
Sure.
Thanks, everyone, for going on another journey with us this week, talking about Child's Play franchise and the Chucky saga and the movie Curse of Chucky. Next week, we'll be back with Cult of Chucky. And as always, everything is possible, but absolutely nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.